Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star original continent based on novel. So let's start. What audacity, the undying Yangshan warrior shouted angrily. A long spear suddenly appeared in his palm, and he pointed its sharp tip at Luo Feng. Human, Flame Emperor is not someone at your beck and call. Flame Emperor was the absolute ruler of the Yangshan race, so even though Luo Feng displayed formidable power, this warrior was not intimidated enough to retreat. Luo Feng looked at the undying warrior. Though surrounded and oppressed by his power, the warrior was filled with fighting spirit. The moment his godly power dispersed, it would drown this undying warrior with its absolute power. Yet, the eyes of that undying warrior were so filled with anger that they looked as though they could spout fire. He did not give any further utterance. Luo Feng looked toward the main palace and said, "Flame Emperor, even this lowly undying warrior has the guts to shout at me. Why are you in hiding? This is your sanctuary, where you can control the space and time. Don't you pretend you can't hear me." Finishing his words, Luo Feng waited in silence. Indeed, everyone knew that this was the home of the Yangshan race, where Flame Emperor possessed ultimate control. If he pretended to turn a deaf ear to Luo Feng's words, that would be him taking Luo Feng for a fool. Mere seconds later, a strong wave of godly power spurted out from the main palace in the distance, and was followed by a complete closure of the sealed space. With a flash of light, a figure appeared directly before Luo Feng. "Are you Luo Feng, the human Blade River Emperor?" asked a burly, single-horned man with a bald head. He wore black war armor and was approximately 30 feet tall. His body was plastered with scales resembling those of a snake. Even his face was covered with scales, leaving only his scalp bare and shiny. He was a universe knight of the Yangshan race. Luo Feng nodded. "Yes," he said. "I am Ice Deuteron Knight," the single-horned, bald knight said with a smile. "Flame Emperor has instructed me to wait here for Blade River Emperor, and here you are, finally. The moment I learned of your arrival, I closed the sealed space meant to protect our race without delay." Luo Feng laughed to himself. Closed it? He knew the sealed space had been specially prepared for him. As the two conversed, the undying warrior, who was oppressed by Luo Feng's godly power, could not hear a single word. Ice Deuteron Knight gestured to him. "Would Blade River Emperor be so kind as to release my fellow man?" Ice Deuteron Knight asked. Luo Feng retracted his powers upon request. Ice Deuteron Knight turned to the undying warrior and commanded, "Take your leave quickly." "Yes, Knight." The undying warrior gave a few respectful bows. Then, in an instant, he disappeared. Ice Deuteron Knight gave a smile and looked at Luo Feng. "Blade River Emperor, please follow me." Luo Feng followed with a nod. He was not afraid of whatever tricks Flame Emperor had up his sleeves. While he was on his way here, he had met with all sorts of obstacles, and nothing had brought him down. Now that he had arrived at the territory of the Yangshan race, if Flame Emperor was unable to play nice, it would be an insult to Luo Feng, and an insult to their teacher, Sitting Mountain Guest. The duo teleported directly to the palace grounds. There were endless flames around the palaces, and they burned an empty path right in the middle. At the end of the path, several undying warriors of the Yangshan race stood deferentially on both sides. Luo Feng and the single-horned knight walked side by side. "Where is Flame Emperor?" Luo Feng asked. "That is the main palace," the single-horned knight said, pointing to the highest palace in the distance. "It is also where the Flame Emperor resides. The two other palaces on each side are the secondary palaces where common guests reside. Blade River Emperor, please proceed to the secondary palace hall. You may be granted an audience with Flame Emperor when he returns." Luo Feng changed his countenance. "Buying time?" Luo Feng stared at the single-horned knight. "Is that what Flame Emperor instructed you to do? Did you convey the news of my arrival? Don't bother trying to tell me that there is no way you can inform him at present. Flame Emperor is the one and only universe master of the entire Yangshan race. He definitely would have caught wind of any news that spread to this area at any time. Don't get so anxious, Blade River Emperor. To his credit, the single-horned knight was not shaken by Luo Feng flaring up. I have just sent word to Flame Emperor. He is currently in the original star, so, to return from the original star, he could make use of God Country transportation, which will bring him here in no time. Luo Feng said with indifference, you lead the way. I will follow your arrangements for now and take a rest in the palace. I shall just wait to see when this Flame Emperor will turn up. Please follow me. The single-horned knight showed similar disregard for Luo Feng as he led the way in front. The two walked into the secondary palace hall. After instructing the servants to prepare a spread of delicacies, the single-horned knight left. A nobody. And with such arrogance, the single-horned knight growled once outside. He looked toward the palace. With much disdain, he mused, even though you are an undying life form, you only possess the powers of a secondary universe knight. At the very best, you excel at escape tactics. Who are you to show disrespect to our Flame Emperor? If not for Flame Emperor's command to not create trouble, I would have shown you the consequences for being disrespectful. Humph. With that, the single-horned knight turned and left. He could not be bothered with Luo Feng. In the secondary palace, a fine spread of delicacies from different locations throughout the universe was served. There was also a fine selection of wine. The food alone would have cost undying emperors their entire fortunes. This second brother of mine certainly puts on quite a show, Luo Feng thought, sitting at the table. Someone leaked the news about my whereabouts, and I am almost certain it was him who discreetly spread the news. He clearly knew I was coming, and yet he chose to delay our meeting. I am here by the orders of Sitting Mountain Guest, and I wield enough power to drive the force armor, which is why I am here for it. This is our teacher's command, yet he is putting on the airs of a universe master. Luo Feng could only shake his head. The force armor belonged to Luo Feng to begin with. Flame Emperor had been using it for a long time, and now that its rightful owner had appeared, he was in no rush to return it. On the contrary, it seemed he ordered his underlings to deal with Luo Feng, so that he could hold on to force armor. I shall wait, Luo Feng said to himself. Now, to see how long I have to wait. This matter has already been blown out of proportion. The supreme beings in this universe are coming after my life. News has spread all over the place, and I am certain our teacher, Sitting Mountain Guest, must have known and is also paying close attention to everything happening here. Second brother, oh, second brother. With teacher keeping an eye on you, I would like to see how far you can go in this game. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days passed. Then 1 month. Then 2 months. And still, there was no news. Flame Emperor still had not arrived. More delays. He just continues delaying. Luo Feng closed his eyes and mediated while staying connected with the virtual universe with his consciousness. He waited in silence. This power was, after all, inferior to humans. He could only wait. Flame Emperor sat cross-legged in one of the ancient forests on the original star. He was attentively feeling for the waves coming from the distance. If precious valuables were about to appear, there would be unique signs to announce their presence. Third brother, he muttered, allow me to tame that arrogance of yours. An extraordinary genius from the human race. I was much stronger than you back then. I shall help you understand why a junior like yourself should respect someone with seniority. Luo Feng had already stayed in the palace for a year or more, and during this period, he had been waiting peacefully and patiently. One day, as Luo Feng was meditating cross-legged, he suddenly heard a loud noise. A powerful force dispersed over his surroundings, enshrouding the entire palace grounds. Every being within the palace grounds, from servants to undying warriors, rushed out immediately to bow their respect. Luo Feng also opened his eyes, then said, finally, you're here. The surrounding time and space changed. Luo Feng merely observed the transformation happening. Then he found himself in a spacious palace hall. On the throne of this palace sat a towering, lofty figure. He was densely covered with scales. With that gigantic horn, he was the very picture of the Yangshan race. His eyes looked down at the waiting Luo Feng, who felt an intangible power. It felt as if he had been cast into a burning furnace. Second brother, Luo Feng said, raising his head to meet Flame Emperor's eyes. He smiled. Second brother, you are finally here. I, your younger brother, have been waiting a long time. The towering figure stood up. Step by step, he made his way down the stairs. His godly body shrank as he moved, and by the time he reached the bottom of the stairs, he had reduced to a height comparable to that of Luo Feng. From an earthling's point of view, Flame Emperor carried an overbearing arrogance and ignored the presence of all others. This arrogance was in his bones, his very soul. It emanated from him naturally. There was no pretense at all. This was different from some other proud and arrogant great beings. Flame Emperor's arrogance and self-honor were so convincing that many people exclaimed that he was truly deserving to be their overlord. Third brother, Flame Emperor said, looking at Luo Feng with a trace of friendliness in his gaze. I was on the original star, fighting with countless other great beings from the other races for valuables. I met with the crucial moment when a valuable first appeared, so I was delayed for quite a while. I trust you did not take it to heart. Of course I didn't, Luo Feng replied. Flame Emperor nodded and said, I had a chat with Put. Our teacher, Sitting Mountain Guest, has also given me some orders. As for you, I did gather some informative materials intentionally. You are certainly one in a million. An extraordinary genius from the human race. But you should know that everything you have today is because of teacher's faith in you. Do not be proud. Train humbly and become a universe knight as quickly as you can. Then move on to the status of a universe master. Your first brother and I are waiting for that day to arrive. Luo Feng gave a slight frown. He did not like this display of superiority that Flame Emperor was showing, but he dealt with the situation by replying, of course, I will work hard. Luck is with you. You can take on the life or death inheritance of the Star Tower to become Sitting Mountain Guest's third disciple. Flame Emperor looked at Luo Feng. That's why you should cherish this opportunity more than ever. Do not ever disappoint our teacher. Second brother, Luo Feng replied immediately, you must know my purpose in coming here. Ha ha. For the Force armor. Of course, I know. Flame Emperor smiled at Luo Feng. When it came to his third brother, Flame Emperor disliked him. It was purely by instinct. Sitting Mountain Guest had trained the young Flame Emperor wholeheartedly, which was why he had become one of the top-notched, transcendent geniuses of the universe. And now, Luo Feng was not the least bit inferior to him. Even Flame Emperor realized that in the future, this third brother would come to own the supreme true treasure, Star Tower. Thus, Flame Emperor saw Luo Feng as an immense threat. Yet Luo Feng was the third disciple Sitting Mountain Guest had dedicated himself to. There was no way Flame Emperor could put a stop to this. Big brother Put was the least of Flame Emperor's concern. He had previously been Sitting Mountain Guest's servant, so his powers were a far cry from those of Flame Emperor. But this third brother. He kept Flame Emperor on his toes. Right, said Luo Feng. Here I am for my Force armor. Our teacher instructed me to obtain it from you when I possessed the power to drive it. So now, here I am. Force armor is one of the super true treasures in this vast universe, Flame Emperor replied, gazing at Luo Feng. It has limitless power, and you have only just become undying. You are still too weak to unleash its power. You might even lose the Force armor if it were under your possession. The way I see it, for the sake of the Force armor, and for your own safety, my brother, you should continue cultivating your power. It is not too late for you to obtain the Force armor when you have become a Universe Knight. I shall gladly continue to take care of it for you, and when you have become a Universe Knight, I will deliver it straight into your hands. Inside the palace, Luo Feng, who was already dissatisfied with Flame Emperor, was infuriated. Force armor belongs to me, he thought. Whether I am able to use it or not, and whether I might lose it or not, has nothing to do with you. I'm here to take the Force armor under Masters Washan Ku's command, and all you need to do is give me the Force armor. Why are you rambling? Though Luo Feng was full of anger, his only choice was to suppress it. Flame Emperor looked at Luo Feng, grinning. Brother, he said, train yourself well and become a universe knight. Then you can use the force armor. Luo Feng smiled. Second brother, he said. I was able to survive being hunted by all the great beings in the universe without force armor. If I can get force armor now, I'll be much more powerful and far less likely to die. You don't need to worry about me, second brother. Just give me the force armor. Don't take any chances. Flame Emperor shouted. His voice trembled Luo Feng's soul. Force armor is a super true treasure desired even by universe masters. How can you dare attempt to try your luck? Flame Emperor stared at Luo Feng. His power permeated outward like a physical force, suppressing Luo Feng like mountains. Force armor may have belonged to you, but it was, after all, created by Masters Washan, Ku after endless time and energy. You should be able to guarantee that you won't lose it. I'm doing so for your own best interests. Train yourself and become a universe knight, then I'll give you the force armor. Flame Emperor's voice rumbled, shaking Luo Feng's soul. However, Luo Feng's willpower was robust, and even without Tao Pearl, it was as strong as that of a universe overlord. Flame Emperor was only a powerful universe master proficient in close combat. He wasn't able to change a universe overlord's mind with his voice alone. Second brother, do I sense that are you reluctant to give me the force armor? Luo Feng gazed at Flame Emperor. Flame Emperor suddenly became furious, and the entire palace was trapped in anger. His power suppressed Luo Feng. Third brother, Flame Emperor said, I've been keeping the force armor for you for hundreds of millions of years under the order of Masters Washan Ku, and I'll give it to you when you're strong enough. Although you can utilize the force armor, you're still weak, and I'm doing this for your best interest. If you lose the force armor, you'll disappoint Masters Washan Ku. Don't worry about that. Luo Feng was firm. I'll tell Masters Washan Ku myself if I lose it. Tell him. How are you going to tell him? Flame Emperor asked him. It's none of your business, Luo Feng answered. Just because you've accomplished a little bit, you became so arrogant. Flame Emperor shook his head. Luo Feng looked at Flame Emperor and said calmly, no need to say more, second brother. I'm here today to take force armor. Are you going to give it to me or not? You're not powerful enough, said Flame Emperor. But Luo Feng cut him off. I don't have the power to take it from you if you're not willing to give it to me. My only recourse is to tell Masters Washan Ku later. If Masters Washan Ku thinks you should still keep force armor, I won't bother you again. Luo Feng slightly bowed. I'll show myself out. Luo Feng turned around and started to leave. Flame Emperor was startled. He had never said that he was unwilling to give up force armor. He wanted Luo Feng to back off on his own. Flame Emperor believed that if Luo Feng gave up, Masters Washan Ku wouldn't meddle. After all, it was Luo Feng who conceded first. Flame Emperor couldn't say no directly, as it contradicted the order of Masters Washan Ku. Third brother. Flame Emperor yelled. However, Luo Feng didn't stop. Stop! Flame Emperor yelled. His voice shook the very space and time around him. Luo Feng went back to the palace, after seeing the scenes around him change. He looked at Flame Emperor and said, why are you stopping me? I'm going to see Masters Washan Ku. When did I say I was refusing to give it to you? Demanded Flame Emperor. I was just telling you that you're weak. But if you really want it regardless of my warnings, then I'll have to give it to you. Don't blame me if you lose it in the future. This is force armor. Flame Emperor turned his hands around, and a set of exquisite, diamond armor appeared on his palm. There were engravings dimming on the armor. The force armor was like a heavenly god in Flame Emperor's hands, and Luo Feng held his breath looking at it. Gazing at force armor, Luo Feng was thrilled. It was derived from many more solid pieces of armor, general armor, king armor, and emperor armor, and it was a superior true treasure prepared by Washan Ku for his third disciple. Even a pinnacle universe master like Flame Emperor was reluctant to give it away. After all, he had never obtained a true treasure like Force Armor or Flame Emperor Halberd on his own. "What are you still waiting for?" Flame Emperor said. Luo Feng reached out his hands, and his godly power wound around the Force Armor like threads. He pierced Force Armor with a trace of his godly power and seared his life imprint in it, and at the same time, ancient information on Force Armor flooded Luo Feng's mind. Luo Feng put Force Armor into his world ring. "Second brother, I'll take my leave now," said Luo Feng with a smile. "I'll come back and see you again, if I have the chance." "You can come here whenever you want," Flame Emperor said. Luo Feng left the main palace immediately and walked along the portal separating the space palaces and the outside. The palaces were isolated from the surrounding space ripples, which meant it was impossible to teleport outside. The only one who could do that was Flame Emperor, the owner of the palace. Luo Feng teleported himself immediately after leaving the palaces and left the territory of the Flame God race using the God Country transportation of one of his slaves. Flame Emperor stood outside the main palace, leaning against the handrail as Luo Feng left using God Country transportation. "Third brother," Flame Emperor whispered. "Impressive. Both of the two candidates died during life or death inheritance, yet you survived." Although he claimed that Luo Feng was lucky, he knew clearly that Swan Ku had a wide range of options for his disciple. There were billions of beings in each generation on Earth, and Luo Feng was the first one to succeed in billions of years. Even without Swan Ku's training, he was exceptional. Flame Emperor had become who he was today after endless suffering, but he knew that the obstacles Swan Ku gave him were not tricky. Life or death inheritance was the most terrifying one. "He took the Force Armor in the end," Flame Emperor said, slowly calming himself down. Though he was wary of Luo Feng, he knew that even if Luo Feng became a universe master with Star Tower, he was, at most, an exceptional universe master who could suppress him. Being a universe master was not enough to kill him. Unless he became a universe supreme master. There are only few universe supreme masters in the universe. As long as a race has a universe supreme master, it's a pinnacle race. Only superpowers who have universe supreme masters on their side are the real top-tier superpowers. They are able to turn back time to resurrect universe overlords, and they can withstand the backlash from the universe easily. They all have exceptional skills. They are able to control the sky and land wherever they go, and even universe law has to avoid them. Masters Swan Ku is one of them. Only if someone becomes a supreme master can they be at the top of the universe. Flame Emperor's eyes gleamed with desire. He wasn't willing to be second best to anyone, which was why he had always been so determined to improve his power sharply. Though he had Swan Ku as his teacher, he had made his breakthrough mainly through independent practice. He already stood among the top-tier universe masters, and he was only one step away from becoming a universe supreme master. The term, supreme master, was self-explanatory enough. They were considered the most powerful beings in existence. They were able to dominate an entire territory of the universe. They could wander the universe alone without fear of being disturbed. They could also admit talents as their disciples by robbing other races without being stopped. "I'll be at your level if I can take one step further," Masters Swan Ku, Flame Emperor said. He turned around and walked back to his palace. Human territory, Ganwu Universe Country. Moshe Luo Feng walked out of a pit on an arid planet. "My God Country is 3,300 light-years away." Moshe Body stepped forward. In no time, he traveled 1,000 light-years forward. Moshe Body was able to merge with space better than universe knights, and when becoming a special life form, after absorbing the essence from Space Heart, Moshe Body had been able to perfectly merge with space. He had even gained the talent technique domain, by which he could teleport himself 100 light-years at one time. After becoming undying, his godly power and mind were significantly improved, and he could teleport himself as far as universe knights. He entered the space interlayer after 3 teleportations. He teleported once more and entered his God Country. The God Country was boundless, and the remote ocean was expanding slowly. In the sky above the remote ocean, Luo Feng walked out from the gleaming golden palace and stood on the waves. Force armor. Luo Feng was covered by a suit of transparent armor, which had completely integrated with his godly body. Each fiber of force armor was combined with Luo Feng's muscles and organs, and boundless strength filled his body. The power felt magnificent, omnipotent. Luo Feng closed his eyes and reveled in it. No wonder it's a true treasure prepared by Masters Washan Ku. Luo Feng exclaimed. He had already received the information while with Flame Emperor. Force armor was a special suit of armor. Unlike other true treasures that required law comprehension to be utilized, force armor required the strength of godly bodies, like soldier armor, general armor, and king armor. The sturdier the godly body was, the more powerful force armor would be. A gigantic shadow suddenly appeared. It was Golden Horned Beast. Luo Feng smiled. Try the force armor on, he said. The transparent armor flew toward Golden Horned Beast like a beam of light, merging with the godly body of Golden Horned Beast. When Luo Feng received force armor, he, too, had a taste of its power. He connected to the virtual universe with his consciousness, as he wanted to inform his master, True Yang Knight, that he would enter the original star. In the virtual universe, near the boundless mountainside of Thunder Island, stood True Yang Knight's palaces. There were 6 figures sitting before the palaces, drinking wine while chatting loudly. A burly, stout man with 3 horns on his head held up a strange wine bottle and took big gulps. Rumor has it that on the vast plain of one original star, a splendid godly palace emerged out of the blue, he said. In front of it, there was an ancient tablet that documented detailed information about a top-tier true treasure. With this true treasure, one can escape from enemies by teleporting or cut through layers of space easily while in battle. It is a superior true treasure that is good for escaping and attacking. This top-tier true treasure is called the Heavenly Gold Sail. He tutted and sighed. The very next moment, 3 Universe Masters, 18 Universe Overloads, and more than 100 Universe Knights dashed into the palace. The doors shut quickly. And when it opened again 6 years later, the number of survivors was half the number who entered. Rumor has it that the Heavenly Gold Sail was eventually taken by a Universe Master of the Northern Territory Alliance. The other 5 Universe Knights, including True Yang, jested in response. Really? Kwangju Knight, don't make up more stories like you did before. If that really happened, why were we unaware of it? Kwangju Knight glared so hard his eyes seemed to bulge out like little, round balls. Make up stories. I did not now, not then. But previously, the news that you shared was about something that happened when the original star opened 2 cycles back, teased a werewolf knight whose body was covered in cyan hair. The Heavenly Gold Sail I just mentioned is a top-tier true treasure that had just made its first appearance when the original star opened this time. Kwangju Knight said, his eyes still wide open. I have many good friends, and many of them who entered the original star this time came back with stories of all sorts. I just learned about the Heavenly Gold Sail today, and immediately came to tell you all about it. And you think I'm bluffing? If you don't believe me, just wait and see. After a few years, news of the Heavenly Gold Sail will reach everyone. By then, you all will know the truth. Don't be angry, Kwangju Knight. Tell us more about the birth of this top-tier true treasure. Yes, tell us more. Let me pour you more wine. The other Universe Knights persuaded him with smiles. Kwangju Knight was appeased and downed the wine in his bottle in a single gulp. Then he held it out and said, "Fill this up. You are all too greedy. These top-tier true treasures. Every one of them is precious enough to drive Universe Masters crazy with desire, crazy to the extent that they are willing to kill one another." Kwangju Knight shook his head with a sigh. This time around, the original star has only been open for slightly over 100 years. How is it possible to have so many top-tier true treasures to talk about already? If even a few top-tier true treasures were to emerge, I'm afraid there are bound to be several Universe Masters killed. Suddenly, the other Universe Knights turned to look at a faraway figure flying toward them. Everyone, take a look. Isn't that Blade River Emperor Luo Feng? True Yang, your disciple is here. Indeed, it was Luo Feng. I heard your disciple was in the territory of the Yang Shen race about 100 years ago, where he was hunted down by countless great beings of other races. But he managed to escape unscathed. True Yang, upon comparing techniques, at least his ability to escape is much stronger than yours. Of course, he is stronger than me, True Yang laughed. He is a future pillar of support for the human race. His survival power must be superior. While they were chatting, Luo Feng had made his way to where they sat today. Teacher, Luo Feng greeted with a smile. Luo Feng, come, take a seat, True Yang said and pointed to a seat next to him. Luo Feng laughed and sat down. He looked around at the other universe knights and acknowledged them with a smile. Everyone else is here, too, I see. An elderly who resembled a lion at first glance, because his body was covered with long hair, said with a smile, we did not dare enter the original star when it first opened. We would like to hear more news about it, to get to know more about what is happening in the original star. Blade River Emperor, we heard about your intention to enter that original star. Why is it that you have yet to go? He had inferred as much, because the moment one entered the original star, it was impossible to connect to the virtual universe. Kwang Ju Knight glowered. How would you know whether Blade River Emperor has gone or not? Blade River Emperor has the talent of dividing himself into several bodies. Maybe he has left one body in the human race domain. That way, he would be able to enter the virtual universe anytime. That makes sense. Kwang Ju Knight makes a lot of sense. The others laughed loudly. Some looked over at Luo Feng and said, Blade River Emperor, have you been to the original star? Not yet. Luo Feng smiled. But really soon. I am here to inform my master. Then I will enter the original star. Immediately. True Yang Knight was slightly taken aback. Blade River Emperor, who is going in with you? The werewolf knight asked. You are not going alone, are you? Luo Feng nodded. I am going alone. Everyone began objecting. That is too dangerous. There were numerous senior universe knights being killed. Blade River Emperor, it is better for you to form alliances with other great beings. Luo Feng laughed and said, no worries. I am just going to accumulate experience. Kwang Ju Knight looked at Luo Feng through his bell-shaped eyes. Well, I have some detailed information about the original star, including all kinds of things that have happened over the past 100 years. I like making friends. This allows me to collect all kinds of information. I may not know the most, but I definitely rank in the top 3 on that list. I shall provide you with the information later. Before you enter, take a good look and understand everything that roams within each original star. Luo Feng was thankful. That is just so gracious of Kwang Ju Knight. Kwang Ju Knight does know a lot of things and has a plethora of information, True Yang Knight agreed, smiling. But Blade River Emperor, Kwang Ju Knight continued, his eyes still wide open, the more knowledge I collect, the more I realize how much danger lurks on the original stars. There is no law and order there to keep it in check. Initially, it may seem peaceful. However, when true treasures start to emerge, there will be much commotion. Supreme beings will come forth to fight for the right to claim them. The weaker ones will be eliminated in no time. The way I see it, with that power of yours, and the many true treasures in your possession, you are bound to attract the attention of the jealous great beings of other races. Your chances of survival may not be more than 10%. 10%. Are you sure? The other universe knights shook their heads. Luo Feng has the talent technique domain. How can you say his chance of survival does not exceed 10%? Thanks to escaping death, while being hunted down by a horde of universe great beings, Luo Feng had earned himself quite a reputation. Still, Luo Feng was taken aback. Were his chances really that low? Is it because of the universe masters? Luo Feng frowned. Universe masters are strong, of course. More than half of those gathered on the original star this time around are said to be universe masters. But there are few of them, and they are scattered across all the 10,081 original stars. There won't be any universe masters on the majority of the original stars. The chances of running into one are low. I am saying that your chance of survival is low because of the environment inside the original stars, not because of the universe masters, Kwang-Ju Knight explained. Every original star can only be so big, and there are so many senior universe knights and universe overlords gathered in the stars. But once your location is exposed, the others will immediately plan their counterattack against your talent technique domain. Hence, you will not be able to escape. And eventually, you will be killed. Luo Feng gave a slight nod. That was true. As had been pointed out to him before, a trump card revealed was no longer a trump card at all. Domain's powers may have been out of this world, but that did not make him invincible. If a few universe overlords with malicious intentions worked together, it wouldn't be difficult to defeat him. There were even some universe overlords with first-rate techniques strong enough to solve problems single-handedly. It is best that you have a partner, Kwang-Ju Knight warned. Complement one another so that when there is danger, both of you can depend on your talent technique domain to escape. Some kinds of danger require the help of a partner to withstand. Thank you, Kwang-Ju Knight, Luo Feng said with a smile. The information has been sent to you, Kwang-Ju Knight said. The next moment, Luo Feng received an email. The attached file contained an extensive amount of detailed information in the form of text, pictures, and video clips about various events that had happened during the 100 years, or more since the opening of the original star. Luo Feng sighed inwardly. Luckily, he had obtained his force armor. With force armor, it is as if I am carrying a fortress with me, Luo Feng thought. Together with the power of my Mosha body to transform and replicate the shape and aura of other beings, who could recognize me as Blade River Emperor, Luo Feng. Back in his god country, his original earthling body and golden horned beast body had tried on the force armor, and had each felt its power. The situation coincided with the information he acquired as to what would happen the moment the force armor recognized its master. Luo Feng could not help but marvel. Force armor was truly a supreme true treasure. He could understand why a supreme being such as Flame Emperor would resort to such underhand means to hold onto it. Luo Feng guessed that force armor might even be more powerful than Thousand Treasure River. Force armor was refined and made according to Sitting Mountain Guest's design. It was a true treasure in the form of a unique set of armor, and was very different from the other true treasures Luo Feng knew of. To control true treasures like the Shawu Wings and Golden King armor, as well as treasures like Ancient Boat Galaxy, required one to have a very high law comprehension. Even someone like Luo Feng could only achieve the second forms of Shawu Wings and Golden King armor. As for Ancient Boat Galaxy, he was still unable to unleash its full potential. But force armor was entirely different. Soldier, General, King, and Emperor armor were all unrelated to law comprehension. Instead, they were dependent on bodily strength. Force armor was the same way, it was dependent on bodily strength. If the godly body was not strong enough, it would be useless even if one had high law comprehension. If the godly body was strong, nothing would go wrong even if one had low law comprehension. Force armor had 3 different forms. The first form required 100 million times the strength of a sector lord for activation. Once activated, it could block off and weaken the force of material attacks to 101,000. Soul attacks would be weakened to only 1/10, and the user would gain strength equal to 100 million times that of a sector lord. The second form required 100 billion times the strength of a sector lord for activation. Once activated, it could block off and weaken the force of material attacks to 1/10,000. Soul attacks would be weakened to 1/10, and the user would gain strength equal to 1 trillion times that of a sector lord. The third form required 100 trillion times the strength of a sector lord for activation. Once activated, it could block off and weaken the force of material attacks to 100,000. Soul attacks would be weakened to 1/10, and the user would gain strength equal to 100 trillion times that of a sector lord. This was an extremely powerful life-saving true treasure. Once a universe master burned up his godly body to activate it, he would be able to activate the third form. With this form, any material attacks by super true treasures of other universe masters were rendered futile. Material attacks would pose no threat at all. These effects only applied as long as one was not facing off against a more powerful attack-based true treasure, such as supreme true treasures. Should such a supreme true treasure appear in the original star, a heated fight among numerous universe masters would occur. For one or two universe masters to lose their lives in the fray was nothing out of the norm. This video will end here.